Hello, my name is Heather Robinson. I'm going to be chatting with you today about urban ecology. So just to start off, to me, an urban environment is a clash between city and humans and nature and animals. City and humans are deemed to be of higher significance than nature and animals, so we tend to develop based upon our needs and our desires and ignore the natural and animal needs within our urban environment. So moving into my project, my project is located in London, Ontario, which is about 2 hours, an hour and a half northeast of Detroit. You can see a map there of just where it is exactly in Ontario. And London is a city of about 350,000 and growing. It is completely developed around the Thames River, and the downtown is right smack in the center of the Thames River, where the river forks off into two major streams. Floods have been a significant problem within London for quite a number of years, especially more recently with climate change. Today, we usually have 1 to 2 major flood events each year between springtime, post winter, where snow is melting, and the fall when weather's changing and beginning to get ready for the winter. There are two approaches to looking at flooding as a major issue and how we create a new urban environment from learning and dealing with flooding as a wicked problem. The first off is humans and how our population growth and our really densification of cities after the Industrial Revolution, where we have now greater amounts of people living in cities, and how that has the consequences to us of flooding would be that we experience damages to our homes and damages to our way of lifestyle, as well as we also contribute to the flooding by increasing the amount of infrastructure that is impervious and does not allow or flooding to naturally occur and naturally recede. We also, in London, has implemented a few different things in terms of flood strategies as of right now. They have implemented dike systems along parks to try and control the flood waters and contain them away from suburbs, as well as there are 2 dams within London area. The other way I'm looking at floods is through non-human cycles, specifically the sugar maple and the gray squirrel. Both are highly popular in London, and both introduce their own different problems and desires for flood. So in the case of a sugar maple, they are native to wetland and flood zone, and they're a species that thrives on moist soils and post-flood events because of the way that they store water. Versus the gray squirrel, although they are able to swim, they store their food below the soil, and in case of a flooding event, they're not able to access their food or smell where their food storage is. So what does this all mean? Flooding is a major issue, but it is an issue that all cities in some form typically need to deal with, whether that is just stormwater management after a major rainfall or flooding from rivers. In some way, all cities deal with it, and it is an increasingly significant issue due to climate change, and it is one where we need to deal with our urban environment in the way that us humans need, as well as in the way that non-humans needs. And in this case, in London, I'm looking at the sugar maple and gray squirrel and how their needs can be met with our new infrastructure and vision of the urban environment. There are 5 main points of views that I'm looking at. Redesigning the urban environment based upon a new infrastructure which molds with flooding and allows for that natural process to occur. The first one is contain, where it's below grade infrastructure implemented. In this case, from the studies that I looked at, it was a infrastructure where instead of a basement in a home or within a high rise, it integrates a containment area where the floodwater is brought in and stored. Discharge, where we integrate more of an urban river in a way where in a normal non-flood event it looks like a landscape buffer, but in during a flood event it acts as an urban river where the water is quickly removed from the surface and redirected back upstream to prevent damages. Deflect, which is the next one that integrates natural buffers or dikes in more of an infrastructural way to try and prevent the floodwaters from reaching specific areas. Divert is the next system where we integrate a flood river which diverts the water away from our infrastructure and as well as habitats where species like gray squirrel live, and redirects it around as a way of controlling the path. And then the last one is absorb, where we integrate natural elements that naturally absorb and contain the floodwaters. In this case, a lot of the studies I looked at integrated a secondary flood lake where in a non-flood event it was just open park space that was terraced, but during a flood event it was a lake. So those are different ways I'm looking at it, and based upon those 5 strategies, I'm looking at the City of London and evaluating it as to which areas would benefit from which perspective, as well as thinking of the human versus non-human desires and needs for each type of method and location within the City of London.